Hello, and welcome in to Tater Talks, the podcast where Tater talks gaming, content creation, sports, pop culture, current events, and whatever the hell we want. I'm your host, Devin, but most of you know me as TaterBoy09. For those of you who don't know this side of me, I'm a variety content creator who streams 4 days a week right here on Twitch, posts videos to YouTube, including this podcast, and highlight videos. My guest tonight has been around the stream game for far longer than most of us. He's a tech guru and a professor. Is he a radio or is he optimistic? Let's find out. Please welcome in our guest, Radio Optimism. Sir, how are you doing today?
I'm pending golf claps in chat.
Yeah, where are all the golf claps at?
Yeah, no loud clapping.
Yeah,
soft clapping.
We have to be quiet. This is a podcast, so you have to listen. Yeah, it's kind of like a poetry reading, but on the internet.
Ooh. Yeah, that's actually poetry reading. Sounds far more sensual than I was expecting, but now I'm down for it.
Get a few more gasms in chat or something like that.
Yeah,
that's right. Well, welcome in. Glad to have you here. It's been a long time coming. We're on episode 13 of this podcast here already, so wow. It's been a long time coming.
Them out. How many do you usually do? Like a month, a week? How do you usually try to schedule it?
So we're actually been doing weekly shows. So it's been weekly for 13 weeks now.
That's actually really good.
Yeah,
that's very pog.
It's been very fun. We're actually, after tonight, we're going to take a 2-week break from just the podcast so I can kind of get my streaming back on par. I've noticed that ever since I started this, I've been putting a lot of effort into it. So it's been something that I've been,
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I feel like that's probably the correct thing to do in the streaming world. A lot of people who, I'm assuming you probably work full or part-time outside of streaming and whatnot.
I do.
And on top of that, like, you can't really dedicate yourself to doing full-time content creation on multiple platforms. You have to pick one, unless you really just don't like to sleep.
Or just don't like your sanity, one of the two.
Yeah. Or don't want a family or anything like that, or friends.
Right. Not paying attention to anybody at all whatsoever.
Yeah, except for yourself.
Right, exactly. I'm selfish. That's all streamers. We're all just selfish.
Yeah, we don't like anyone. We only like the people that we know on the internet.
Yep.
Because everything on the internet's real.
That's right. Yep. Everything you read on the internet is 1,000% true. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Yeah. WikiLeaks, Pog?
Yeah. 4chan? Where are we at here?
Yeah. I love Reddit.
But yes, welcome in everybody to another great episode. We got a lot of technological things that we're going to speak about tonight. Honestly, some things that I'm going to get educated on, as well as maybe some of the Twitch chat. You never know. A lot of people coming over from Radio's channel over on Twitch here. Appreciate everybody coming in. Jim needs coffee and fish with follow, so I appreciate you. Hope you all are having a good day.
Good guys right there. Good guys.
Good guys. Well, I'm glad we could share communities. It's like
absolutely
sharing a pizza or some chicken.
Oh, I don't share pizza. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
ask my wife. She'll tell you like he doesn't share pizza.
No sharing of pizza, but we'll share Twitch communities. That's fair.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
That's cool. All right. The line has been drawn.
Yeah. You have to draw a line. It has to happen somewhere. No such thing as a perfect friendship.
That's right. Anyways, so to get christened into this show, the first thing that everybody gets asked is about their name. So specifically about your Twitch name that you have right now, Radio Optimism. What's the background on that? Where did that come from? How did it derive from? And have you ever thought about rebranding or any sort of changing at all?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's not really a crazy story. When I was in high school, I used to go to concerts all the time, and I think I'd probably been 500 or 600 different concerts in short span of when I was in high school. I saw Radiohead play, and they played Optimistic from it was one of their songs they played live, and it was probably one of the best things I've ever heard live, and this Radio Optimism was born.
There it is.
Yeah, it's nothing crazy, but I mean, it always kind of stuck with me. I've thought about rebranding, but I don't even know what I'd rebrand to. Like the radio name just sort of stuck with me, and if I were to rebrand, it'd probably just be like Radio.
Right. And that's like the kind of nice thing where you have a longer name, but you can shorten it. Like, for example, I was thinking about rebranding about earlier this year, but it was going to be more based around like Tater as opposed to like the boy on the end, and then also the 09 at the end. Yeah. So it's nice to have those longer names that you can shorten down to. Not that I was telling you it's a bad name or anything like that.
No.
Just curious. I feel like a lot of people right now are talking about rebranding or changing or,
Yeah, I mean I consider it, but thing is like it's ingrained into me almost. I feel like Radio Optimism is like a name that's sort of like part of me. It's like because if you Google Radio Optimism, you're gonna probably find me more than likely because no, that doesn't exist anywhere else except for
right.
maybe like a couple of songs on YouTube somewhere. That's kind of like I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't think that I could even get rid of it even if I wanted to. Like it just feels like I'd be like chopping off a limb.
It's always a good feeling when, like, I don't know if you know anybody who's in your chat or anybody that you're friends with IRL, and they're calling you by your shortened Twitch name outside of like the internet. Something that a lot of my friends would call me Tater sometimes, just like random, like we're just hanging out having a beer or something like that. They'd be like, "What's up,
Yeah.
Tater?" I'm like,
The
my
funny
real
thing is-
name.
The funny thing is, like everyone I know in real life, no one watches my stream.
Oh,
My entire community has been garnered from people that I know over Twitch, except for one person, which is Fish Entertainment. He's like really good friends with a guy I worked with.
oh,
He might be one of the few people who I think I know that frequents the stream. But that he calls me by my real name, which is just Matt. So
oh, you look like a Matt.
I look at Matt. What does a Matt look like?
Well, apparently a Matt looks like a cassette tape that is blue.
Okay.
Yep.
Fair. All right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Yep.
cool. I'll let that
Easy
fly.
We'll let that one fly.
Yeah.
You know what's I don't know if it's like sad to say, but I was never really a big Radiohead fan, so I've never actually heard that song Optimistic.
They are very much an acquired taste.
Yeah.
Like 100% an acquired taste. I mean, they're very weird. But usually people when they think of Radiohead, they think of Creep. That's
Right.
like the one song, and that's like the one song that Radiohead hates more than anything.
Oh,
I
I
play
bet.
that song.
I bet.
But I mean, there's Optimistic's a good song. Another song they played was something called Motion Picture Soundtrack. They're to me like I went and saw them, and it was like to me it's like seeing Pink Floyd live. It was like a show that blew you away, not just because of the music, but just because of the atmosphere and the lighting and all that kind of stuff. That's sort of what kind of stuck with me.
That's good. It's always good to have shows like that, especially I mean before pandemic, I was still going to a lot of concerts too. I went to a concert in February actually. I went to Breaking Benjamin and Korn was in my town.
Breaking Benjamin's good live.
Breaking Benjamin's very good live. It's actually the third time I've seen them in like 2 years because they keep coming back to my town. I'm like, hey, well, I guess I'll keep going then.
Yeah, I've seen both of those bands live. I've seen so many. God, I can go on for days. Like, my very first concert was I can't remember which Ozfest it was, but I went and saw Deftones. Deftones, Mudvayne, and it was my first concert ever.
Yeah.
And I went into the mosh pit when Deftones was playing My Own Summer and had the absolute crap just stomped out of me. I mean, I came out of there with like missing a tooth, not really, but like I had to have broken something, but I had a black eye, my nose was bleeding and all sorts of crap. It looked fantastic. I loved it.
One of your first concert experiences ever. Nice. One of my first experiences with the Deftones was actually that very similar to that. I think that they came out and knowing this after fact, they said they were playing in between Ghost and Avenged Sevenfold at the time when Ghost hadn't even existed. I don't know if you're familiar with them at all.
Oh yeah.
But they came out and I had never even I had heard the Deftones, but I was never like big into them by any means. They were kind of that band that just like came on the radio and I was like, okay, sure, yeah, I'll listen to it. But I kid you not, when we're standing in the middle of like it was a standing room show, so we were just standing probably 10 rows back, right in the middle, and I think they played Rocket Skates to start, and I was looking that up after the fact. And what's Chino? What's his name?
Chino Moreno?
Yeah. He comes out first. I swear he picks up the microphone, slams it against the ground as hard as he can, and then like we had a group of like 8 people. We were all in completely separate parts of the entire arena because we instantly got lost to each other just because of all the mosh pits that was going on and like all the craziness that happened. I was like, what the fuck? This is the Deftones. I don't even like care about this band or anything at all. What's going on? But hey, a lot of people liked them. it was still a good time talking about it now.
Yeah, at Deftones, I feel like, I mean, they've been through some ups and downs. I think it was either the drummer, I think it was their drummer or bassist who died not too long ago.
Oh wow.
And Chino, I think he had like surgery on his vocal cords because he essentially ripped them from screaming.
Yeah.
And he still does it to this day. And the thing is, like, if you listen back to any Deftones album, going back to White Pony or anything like that, every album is different. And if I were like a musician, I would strive to have something like that where I'm just randomly with my band creating new types of music within my genre and just sounding different and experimenting. You don't get that with a lot of bands. You hear a lot of just regurgitation of the same type of music over and over, double bass,
Right.
and some hi-hats with double bass and the same guitar riffs that are really fast and the same tempo over and over.
Yeah, but not a lot of people. Well, I shouldn't speak for a lot of people, but some of the thought processes that people don't actually like that though is where they want to listen to the same shit throughout their entire discography. So it's cool to see that from that other angle where, because most of the people that I've ever spoken with, they're like, well, keep it similar but not quite the same, but also keep it a little different. And also, yeah, that's a perfect example. Breaking Benjamin is a perfect example of keeping it the exact same since the very first Saturate album, right? So it's kind of cool to see that people actually did prefer that it completely changes each album.
Yeah, the vocalist for Breaking Benjamin, though, I mean, he's unmatched.
Yeah.
I was listening to, he did an acoustic version of Breath with no microphone, and dude has some pipes, like no joke.
Wow.
Like him, the singer for The Fray, Aaron Lewis from Stained, oh my gosh, Chris Cornell, obviously.
Oh,
like
F's in chat.
Yeah, like the one thing that I hate is I never got to see Chris Cornell live, because like he is, if I were to ever be like a musician or a singer, who I strive to be like.
Yeah.
But I did get to see Aaron Lewis play live, and I got to see him do an acoustic set with no microphone. And,
nice.
Also a guy who has some chords that are unmatched.
I think that with Aaron Lewis, his voice is so deep, and you don't expect it to be so deep. And then when he starts, like, God, what's the one song? Like Wrapped Up in You, I think is what it's called, or something like that. He just sings so low that it's sort of calming in a sense, but it's still so good.
Yeah, Lane Staley's another one too. Unmatched vocalist. Like, you just don't hear things like that anymore.
That's right.
Like, you have to look at it like, I'm one of those people who I like all kinds of music. Like, I just don't like I don't really put myself into a genre saying I like this. I listen to everything. But I will say I have an affinity for like grunge 90s kind of stuff. And when I hear something even today that sounds even similar to that, I attach myself to it.
So what are you listening today what are you listening to today that's something like that?
What I listen to today? I listen to a lot of Audio Slave.
Nice.
I don't know why. I'm one of those people who like randomly will start picking up music that I used to listen to. Matter of fact, I'll pull up my Spotify and I can tell you, because I have like a playlist of stuff that I listen to on the way to work.
That's actually super relatable too. Just want to say that.
In Flames is on there. I started listening to Injustice for All from Metallica, that album again.
Way throwback. I like it.
Yeah. I tell you what, Blackened. Like, when I was in high school and I used to skateboard to school, Blackened was my song to listen to in the morning. It got me pumped up. And I randomly just I'm going to listen to some Metallica and listen to that while driving to work. I'm like, why does it feel like my blood pressure is like jumped? Alice in Chains is in here.
Gets you moving.
There's a band called Quo Vadis, which is, I used to call them Canadian death metal. And their drummer is unmatched with double bass. I've never heard anyone be able to bang on every other drum and do double bass as fast as he does. I think his name is like Yannick something.
Huh. Quavado?
Quo Vadis. Quovadis.
Huh. Well, I know what I'm listening to tomorrow then.
And then Mushroomhead. But Mushroomhead, I grew up knowing the people who were in that band and their relatives, because they're from Cleveland. And that's my stomping grounds.
Oh, wow. Like back in the old days. I never really listened to Mushroomhead. I don't know. They were never really my flow, I should say. But that's pretty sick. Anytime you know like anybody from a band, you're like instantly like cooler to me. I don't know why. It's always
Yeah,
just
it's kind of like it's like that first degree of separation kind of thing where you're like, man, I knew them. They were all dicks though. None of them were nice. They were all as soon as they were in competition with Slipknot, everyone they all turned into exactly what you think they turned into.
nice. Nice. I didn't even know that they would be in the same category. That's how little I listen to Mushroom Head. I literally have never even like listened to them whatsoever.
Well, they were compared to Slipknot. They had this big thing, and it's so high school drama-ish. They had like 7 or 8 members in their band. So did Slipknot,
Ah,
and they're like, "Oh, well, we did it first." And Slipknot and Corey Taylor's like, "Okay, cool, good for you." And Mushroom's like, "No, we did it first." And then Slipknot and Corey Taylor are like, "Okay." And they just wanted to start the drama, I guess, for PR, but
eh. Or for a little bit, it's at least a name that you can say and everybody's heard of. So
yeah,
that's gotta
I
be a
guess so. I
plus,
mean,
right?
I know I went to school with the sister of their drummer, and she used to get us into a place called Peabody's all the time, which was like a bar slash like stage where everyone would go and play bands. And I remember my friend was in a band called Overexposed once upon a time, and I don't even remember the songs or the song names. I remember he played on on the side stage at the same time that Taproot and Chevelle were playing in the same building, and
Oh wow.
his band had a bigger audience, and Chevelle stopped their show entirely and went over to listen to them,
Oh damn.
which was really cool. They're in the mosh pit and everything like that, and they're rocking out, saying, "This music's just better. We can't compare to this."
That would be like the best story to tell from that band. Like if you're sitting at a party, you know you would be telling that story regardless of how old you are, regardless of who's listening. You're
Yeah,
telling that story every time you go onto any sort of party or any sort of radio show, anything like that. That's an awesome story.
yeah. It's one of those things where you don't forget about something like that. Like when you're like his was just like it wasn't something they did like all the time. They just so happened to get a spot on the stage because someone quit and they're like on a waiting list and they're like, okay, hey, you guys want to play? They're like, okay. We didn't practice. We haven't practiced like 2 weeks. Just went up there, played like 5 songs, and everyone was like asking for encores and everything. They didn't go anywhere with the band, but for them, it was just like the experience they wanted.
Yeah. Hey, we showed up Chevelle and Taproot once.
Yeah.
And
Taproot,
then you
they're
cling to it.
Taproot, they're kind of assholes too, but we're not going to talk about that.
Nice. So it's kind of one of those things like I don't know, like I feel like I've heard the name Taproot, but I don't know if I could actually name one of their songs. But mostly anybody who's listened to a rock station in the last 15 years knows Chevelle and knows
Yeah.
many songs that they could sing too. So
Chevelle is a good band, but they
they're
are
okay.
probably they're the most boring band to watch.
Yeah.
At least when I saw them only once, and well, okay, twice if you consider Peabody's, but they just sit on stage. Like they don't have any emotion. It looks like they're just kind of like the singer will occasionally take the microphone away from his face and headbang, but everyone else is kind of like sitting there playing their instruments like they have to focus really, really. Like we can't get a note wrong. Everything has to be by the radio.
It's kind of funny how bands function like that, huh?
Yeah, and I also listen to like I'm really big into like movie soundtracks and video game music and like chiptune stuff. Like Hans Zimmer, obviously. Trying to think of some other ones. Lee Matos, who did some of the stuff for Turbo Kid, if you ever seen that.
Mm-hmm.
The music for that really, really good. There's a guy named BK Knapp. I always talk about him on stream, but he's just does like lo-fi type remixes of video game music, and it's like one of my go-tos of just listening to stuff in the background on the stream.
Nice. BK Knapp, you
Yep,
said?
BKNAPP.
Well, I have a list of things to listen to tomorrow, so that's gonna be
Yeah.
it's gonna be a good day tomorrow.
I've had a weird life of where I've had my foot in everything. I've done something, regardless, like from doing like fixing cigarette burns in cars to playing guitar, drums, and all sorts of crap. It's weird. I have like that. I'm one of those people who are very general at everything. I can like talk about most things.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that are like, well, I guess not a lot of people that are like that, but they're still like, that's one of their, just like, I'm going to be decently good at almost everything I do. And that's, so I have a wide variety.
Yeah. Yeah, to
Things
Warwick, there's another guy named Disaster Piece who I listen to, where I interacted with him at one point a long time ago because I just sent him a thank you, and because he gave me one of his albums for free. I'm like, this album has like changed my life because it has opened me to a whole new genre of music I didn't know existed, and it's fantastic. And he's like, all right, well, here's a code. Every time you want to into my music, just type it in and you'll get it free. But I buy it anyways. But it's just that good.
Wow, that's incredible.
Who else you
Also,
got?
shout out to Warwick real quick, by the way, and Scorch Merc, welcome in chat. Someone was commenting on my posters, my wall decorations earlier. I appreciate that
Oh yeah.
because I really enjoy them too. I spend a lot of time bringing them up. So,
Are those real comics?
they are real. They're not real comics. No, they're like I don't know how to describe them. Like a Bob
Like,
Ross painting, I guess. I don't know.
got it. No, those are cool. Regardless, I mean, those are really cool.
Yeah.
Were you into comics like when you were younger?
So I would say I was not really into comics, but I'm really big into like, the Marvel and all that stuff that with, everything that's happened with Marvel within the last 20 years. We're actually talking about it last podcast too, about how one of the first movies I ever watched in the movie theater was the first X-Men that
Oh
came
yeah.
out in 2000. Like Wolverine and everybody. It's a great movie. It still even holds up today. It's still a pretty good movie.
I think there's someone in my chat who hates that.
Oh,
They think
well,
X-Men is awful. I'm like, listen, you're never gonna get Charles Xavier out of anybody else. Sorry,
yep.
you're just not. What's the guy who played in the new X-Men reboot?
James McAvoy.
James McAvoy. Yeah, good actor. Don't get me wrong. I think he's fantastic. No, no.
I'll agree.
Patrick Stewart is Charles Xavier. End of story.
I'll agree with that. Repop canvas replicas. That's what they. That's where we're getting
No,
confirmation.
Yeah, those are cool looking. I have glowy lights.
So yeah, I got like a spool of LED lights that I can like stick on the wall, but I haven't put them up yet because we live in an apartment right now, and we're planning on moving at some point pretty soon. So I don't know, like, if I put them up, can I put them back, and do they travel well? Is it gonna ruin everything? So I haven't put them up yet, but I've messed with them, and they're actually pretty fun because you can like make them like pulsate and stuff like that. It's like Club Tater up in here.
Yeah, I bought these LifeX beams, and they're like these diffused LED bars that looked really cool, but they died like within a couple of weeks of getting them. But I still happen to have the LED strip from LifeX and also a bulb, so that just sits in my background, and I have it. Once upon a time I got these this table that all my computers sit on from Aeropostale because they're going out of business.
Nice.
And they're selling everything, including the tables. I'm like, do you guys want that table? Can I buy it? And they're like, yeah. So I bought it for like $70, and it carries it around with me. It's nice.
That's awesome. I remember when Blockbusters went out of sale, they had like hundreds and hundreds of movies for 50 cents a piece or something like that, and I didn't get a single one of them. But my buddy looks at this shirt. He's like, wait, are you selling that? It was like a Blockbuster manager's shirt that they were just randomly selling. So he got it, and he wore it around like for 2 years until it didn't fit him anymore.
Blockbuster. That reminds me of this place called Coconuts. It was like this little like record CD place close to me, and they went out of business, and they literally dumped all their stuff in a dumpster.
What?
That was it. And I just so happened to be there when they did it, and my friend and I were like, "What's going on? Should we just wait here?" So we just waited for like 4.5 hours, like next to this tree on this giant like strip of stores, while they dumped all their CDs in there, and we went over there, and like it's like ants to a dot of honey just coming out of the woodwork. All these people coming out of like the sewers and stuff like that just come get this stuff. And I grabbed like a handful of CDs and ran back, and I got I don't remember the other ones. I got a Powerman 5000 CD. It was the one
Nice.
previous to when they really went big. I can't remember. It's like Mega Kung Fu Radio, I think it was called.
Yeah. I definitely couldn't name it. I think I could barely name their song, so.
Oh, I love Powerman 5000. They're nothing special, but I don't know why. I just liked them.
Yeah.
Nobody's Real and Supernova Goes Pop.
It's like all that super early 2000s rock music was just quite not quite my time yet. I was born in '93, so I was still kind of it just wasn't quite there for me yet, right? So like I when I was growing up, I listened to a lot of like Nine Inch Nails and Pearl Jam, some Metallica, basically whatever they played on like a local hard rock radio station that they have here. But not a lot of that included like stuff like Power Man 5000 or Orgy, for example.
Yeah.
That's I mean, Orgy. They've always played that one song that was a cover, and that was it.
Yeah, how was it? Is it Stitches from Orgy? I think that's well. Hold on, is this it? I'm gonna play it really low so that way I don't get DMCA'd.
No DMCA here.
Yeah, Stitches. That's a good song. I remember hearing that one. You mean yeah, sure I listen to Orgy? You shut your mouth. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean, but you shut up.
I'm sure it's a positive and quite negative context at the same time. So
yeah, my chat doesn't know how to be nice. So. Warwick likes to buy into it because he's easily influenced.
Oh goodness. Hey, there's just I don't know what I was gonna say. Who knows? All this music talk is actually quite healing because I haven't really thought about music in quite a while. I mean, I listen to it every day, but I haven't actually had like a full-fledged conversation with it because talk with friends on Discord, stuff like that. But if I ever get together with friends or something like that, we're talking about real things, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
everything's changed.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm fairly diverse in my music taste because I'm going through like my Spotify here. Like the Midnight is one of them that I have in here.
Did you hear my opening song?
I did not. I just had your stream muted. I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. Well, actually, the Midnight is the podcast stream opener.
Which one?
Vampires.
Yeah,
because
dude, Jason's a good one.
They are not. They can't DMCA me. Is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, well, they said that people they want people to use their music on stream.
Mm-hmm.
They were one of those few that were like really okay with that.
Yeah.
Have I not mentioned American Head Charge? American Head Charge is great. They're not around anymore, but they're fantastic. Lamb of God is another one that I really like. As I Lay Dying, even though the singer tried to kill his wife, still I think they're really good. I have okay, all right. Everyone, shut up for a second and don't say anything because I have a guilty pleasure of a band that I like, and it's because of the guitarist. All right, not because of the singer. And it's Creed. All right, now shut up and don't say anything.
No judgment here. No judgment here.
Mark Tremonti is a amazing guitarist. That guy can rip. Like if you just mute Scott Stapp and just play the rest of it, it's great music.
Have you listened to his solo album, or maybe not his solo album, but his album that is named? There's a band that's named after him.
Who? Scott Stapp or
Tremonti?
Oh no, I have not.
Pretty sure that's what it's called. Hang on, let me look it up since we're all out here just looking up things. Yeah, he has a solo band just called Tremonti. And it's just him. Well, it's like he might be singing. Honestly, I don't know, but it's worth looking up. He had a few good songs.
Yeah, I might actually check it out.
There's nothing wrong with, and I'll even say the other one. There's nothing wrong with having a guilty pleasure of, even if it's just for one thing. There's nothing wrong with liking Creed or Nickelback. I said it. I'll stand by it.
I mean, I think they're catchy. I don't like Nickelback's music because I don't hear a different song when I listen to them, and that's nothing against them because they're writing hits and they're making more money than I'll ever make.
Right.
But I just don't. Their music doesn't appeal to me. But I appreciate what they do. Like another thing, like some people give me shit for is one of the bands I respect more than anything are the Beatles for what they did. But I think their music is terrible.
That
I hate it.
Is a hot take, but honestly, that's pretty agreeable. I'm not gonna lie.
Like it's just like Nirvana to me. Like I don't think Nirvana made good music, but they weren't afraid to do something that went against the grain. And I'm not the biggest fan of Nirvana. There's some songs that I'm like, yeah, okay, that's okay. Like In Bloom, I think it was, or On a Plane. Like those songs, they're not bad, but I respect what they did. They did something, they went against the grain and caused a controversy, and that's what revolutionizes new music. And for people to take something and be creative with it.
Yep, definitely. Some people will even say that Nirvana killed metal, so
Yeah.
maybe that's the case. But I think it's on the same line with the I'll say a quote unquote hot take that you just put out there. I think it's on the same lines where hey, maybe
Yeah.
they did put themselves out there, but was it for the
Yeah.
better? Who knows?
Johnny Go in my chat said that we were on the same page those last two takes, but like it's not that I hate the Beatles and I hate their music. It doesn't jive with me. Everyone likes their stuff. Some people like onions. I don't like onions. Some people like the Beatles. I don't like the Beatles. But it's one of those things where it's like, man, I appreciate what onions can do for a meal. Just like I appreciate what Beatles did for music.
Are we the same person? Did you know I
Yeah,
didn't like onions either?
I'm allergic to onions.
I just don't like them. I don't like their taste.
I grew up with a crazy allergy to the oil and onions that make your eyes watery.
Uh huh.
Just caused me to puff up like a balloon. And I over time was exposed to it so much that it doesn't do that to me anymore. It just makes me sick.
Oh, nice. I wonder if I can just use that from now on. Like, oh, sorry, I'm allergic. Don't put them on there.
So I do.
Well, it makes sense for you to because you're actually allergic to them, but I could
That's
just
what I
use
do.
it, and who cares what Susie Joe at McDonald's making my cheeseburger thinks, right?
Yeah.
I but you with all your onions out of here. Oh, come on now. I don't. I'll agree. Like, I mean, sure. Like, we watch Food Network all day, every night. We're watching Food Network, right? Guy's Grocery Game, Chopped, whatever it may be. We're watching it, and there's always like, oh, let me put onions in this, and I always just imagine I'm like, huh, that'd be really good, minus the onions. Just take
Yeah.
out the onions, it'd be really good.
Thank God my wife is the same way too. Because
Oh,
she cooked with onions and it may or may not be grounds for divorce. But she would say the same thing about me too. So
well, that's fair. My fiance is just very understanding. It's kind of like with streaming. She understands. She's
yeah.
very understanding.
Tolerates it because that's something that you like.
Right, exactly. And then she can go watch Food Network all night, and we're both happy.
Yeah.
It all comes full circle.
Symbiotic relationship right there.
Right. Speaking of streaming,
Yes.
I wanted to get your take on this, and we'll transition away from all this music top topics, I should say. Even though it's a lot of fun, I enjoy talking music, especially with someone who I mean, to be honest, we don't really know each other too well. We just know each other fairly well, so it's good to first. I mean, it's good to talk to you one on one in the first place, right?
Yeah, it's nice to actually be able to have a conversation with some of the folks that I know from around different communities.
Yeah,
I don't get to do that very often.
yeah. I also found doing this podcast that people just like talking, whether they are not like the most talkative person. You put them in a one-on-one situation, they love talking.
Yeah.
I know that's not the situation with you, but just
I mean,
fun psychology notice that I had.
I definitely love talking. I mean, I get along with everybody. I was that dude in high school who I was an artist. I was also the skateboarder dude. I also went to concerts and played instruments. And I was also the computer nerd in the nerd classes. And I also was in wrestling, baseball, and football. So like I was friends with everybody. And this is kind of how I grew up.
Busy, busy, busy.
Yeah.
Way too
Yeah.
busy. I couldn't do all that.
It wasn't fun.
Too much stuff. Too much stuff. Although I hated high school, so it is what it is.
I did too, though.
That's right, Mr. Pro Baseball Player Radio. That's right. Semi-pro.
I mean, almost.
Almost pro. So you'll have to tell that story again.
You want to know now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So I played baseball. I played baseball. Gosh, as long as I can remember. It was always baseball and football for me. And as I was coming up through high school, I really got into my prime. I'm a short dude. I'm only about 5'7". And I don't have real long arms. I don't have long legs, anything like that. But I, between being in football, being in wrestling, I had a lot of upper body strength. So I was able to throw the baseball really fast by the time I, was like a freshman in high school. By the time I graduated, I was almost at 90 miles an hour as a fastball. And I didn't really have any aspiration to go and do any sort of pro sports at the time. But I got a scholarship to go to Art School Chicago. I took that, went out there, didn't work out, came back home. And while I was home, I was working at a car dealership, and I was like, I'm just gonna go play some baseball. And there's a round in Ohio, and they have it in other states too, called the Roy Hobbs League, which is where a lot of retired pros go to play baseball because it all follows like pro baseball rules, wooden bats, all that kind of stuff. And I got scouted while I was there by someone, like a minor league agent for the Cleveland Indians. And I think at the time in my prime, my fastest was at like 93 miles an hour, but I could throw circle change, knuckle curve, slider, two seam fastball, four seam fastball, sinker, and I could throw it with like pinpoint accuracy. And
Was the speed consistent?
so I would never throw a fastball in the strike zone. So my speed was always consistent, but if I got my 93 mile an hour fastball, it was good, but it wasn't good in comparison to being a right-handed pitcher who was short. So I could pinpoint that pitch no matter what I want to do, but I couldn't throw it every single time because it throw my shoulder out.
Right.
So it'd be like a pitch where if I was throwing lots of breaking balls and the batter started scooting up on the plate to try and pull the pitch, I would throw a fastball up and in on them to get them to back off plate. Or if I wanted them to see that I was able to throw that fastball at that speed, I'd throw it outside of the zone and get them to either swing and foul or to say, okay, yeah, he can throw that ball.
Just throw it right at their ankle.
Yeah, like it would just be like way outside zone and get them to either foul tip it, thinking it's going to be like a two seam fastball and cut back in or something. But I went out to the camp and I did all the training with them, and a lot of what they do is they basically put you in a position to play like a game. They put you to do starting pitching, you go bullpen or closing, and see how you do in each situation. And I struck out everybody. Not one person got a hit off of me. And
Nice.
and I had like a few balls here and there. No one like when I say no one hit a ball, foul balls, nothing. Everyone was a strikeout. And I went through the lineup twice, and they were like, we can't believe that you've never played professionally, that you didn't go to college and play baseball, but essentially you're like an insurance risk because you're 5'7", 5'8", and you are throwing with pure brute arm strength. Because usually when I don't know how much you watch baseball or play it, but when you are on a mound, it's all about being a slingshot. Right. So you step off of the mound and you use all your forward momentum and your arm to slingshot the ball forward. That gives you more movement, that gives you more speed, and it makes it so that way you can pitch longer and pitch more pitches in a game. And I wasn't doing that. I was just using my arm, and they noticed that. And they're like, our insurance company would not insure you because you would throw your arm out in 2 years. And essentially destroyed my dreams of ever playing pro baseball. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just go to college and be a network engineer.
Yep, the whole fallback plan, right?
Yeah. I mean, I had it. I figured that was probably going to end up happening. I didn't expect anything to come of it. But so I really wasn't like disappointed because I sort of had that idea already. I knew that was going to happen.
Right.
Because I was already having like shoulder problems. I used to be able to throw, like when you're in high school, you can you throw like 130, 140 pitches. But when you get to the major leagues, like 100 is like the max they usually try to put it on. But
right,
like I was starting to get to the point where like 70 pitches, I was starting to be real tired.
Yeah.
And I could still throw, but my speed would start dropping down. I was still able to have my accuracy, but I wasn't able to get as much curve on curveballs and everything because of how I was throwing. And they saw that, and it was probably the right call on their part because I probably would have been shot.
No, that's bullshit. They should have given you a shot. Fuck that.
Well, I mean, they could have, but I kind of knew it was happening. Like everyone in baseball now, like have you ever heard of Tommy John surgery?
Right.
That's like people get that done willingly now. Like they don't even before they even have problems, they just have it done. That's become the thing. And for me, like I was already having like rotator cuff problems, and I was starting to have back problems, and I ended up having surgery on my back years later, which didn't really fix much. But
is Tommy John's more of the shoulder or the elbow?
It's the tendons in your arm, like near your elbow. They instead of them being separate tendons, they connect them.
Ah, gotcha. I always wondered that. Yeah, I mean, I did play baseball for a long time, but I had no interest in pitching. I just never had really a lot of the arm strength, at least for that. I guess I did play third base, so I had at least a decent enough arm to get it over to first, but just consistently doing that was something that I was never really interested in. But it is cool to see, or, it's an interesting thought where, MLB or minor league prospects or recruiters, I should say, are looking at you and they're like, and they can just see that from direct, right away. They can just see that
Yeah.
you're not always just because it is a full body motion is what I mean.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't see it too well if you're just watching a regular game, but throwing anything, your energy is gonna start from your feet and work its way up. And
Yeah,
it's just an interesting thought that they were able to see that instantly, and then
the thing is, like, I knew that going into it because I tried the whole method, but I'm just not tall enough,
yeah,
and so I can't step far enough off the mound without essentially doing a split to get that kind of speed, and then my accuracy suffers at the same time. And I kind of knew that going in, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll just wow them anyways, and they'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. But I didn't expect it. And like I said, when they told me that, I'm like, that's pretty much what I expected to happen. Like, I was warned about that by a couple of people in the league that I played with.
yeah.
Like, they're like your stuff's good, because the thing I loved most about pitching is all a psychological thing. Like, you don't have to pitch fast.
Yeah.
People who can pitch fast, it's still a psychological thing, because people don't want a 101 mile an hour fastball coming in at them a foot away from their face. But at the same time, it's all about reading a person's stance. Like, you'll see, like, if their back foot is facing you, that they're trying to pull the ball and hit it to either left or right field, depending on where they're at. So that if you can throw that ball outside and get to curve outside, they're going to swing and miss, or they're going to foul tip it. And it's like looking at that kind of thing, or knowing that you've scared someone off the plate and being able to throw an off-speed pitch and thinking that's coming in a fastball they're going to try and swing. It's the psychological aspect of it, and just being able to read the situations is what I had most fun. It's like tactical almost.
Yeah, you're basically playing just a game of chess is what it comes down to.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to put it.
And
like,
then,
you just have to know where you're going to place something in order, and see if they're going to either attack or they're going to call your bluff.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things that can be comparable to that nowadays, like playing a game of chess. Getting word from my chat that Radio is actually 6'9", so can we get some nices in chat, please? Thank you. Appreciate that. Well, at least you shot your shot, right?
Yeah, I mean, don't know if you don't try, but
Right. Exactly.
I don't. No regrets.
No regrets. Not
No
even
regrets.
one letter.
Nope.
Speaking of shooting your shot, let's talk about your streaming career, we'll say.
Sure.
Because you've been around the block from a lot of different places, and now you've landed on Twitch. But talk about where you first started streaming, and kind of your adventure from there to making it over to Twitch.
Yeah, I mean, I actually started on Twitch.
Oh, gotcha.
I started on Twitch in 2015, I believe. 2015 or 2016, I can't remember which one. And I started as just doing some variety stuff, playing Rocket League. And then the alpha for Overwatch came out, and I got into the alpha of Overwatch and started. I was playing with all the big streamers like Tim Tatman, Moon, and Seagull.
Oh, nice.
I was in teams with them playing, and I was just messing everyone up. And I stopped streaming for a couple months because I was just working and just kind of got distracted with work. Picked it back up, and I met a couple of friends through streaming. One of them's name is District, who was like, hey, there's this other platform called Beam. You should go over there and check it out. And went over to Beam and started hanging out in different people's chats, and eventually just started streaming on Beam. Beam eventually became Mixer.
Oh.
And I was there during that time when it was Mixer, and I met a lot of really great people. I mean, there's a guy named Bizzo Mephisto over there. He's
top tier name, by the way.
yeah, he's a super cool guy. Got Gouda, which is now Cowboy Cave. I could probably just list a bunch of people, but like, I made a lot of really great friends from over there. And the thing that I saw with Mixer that I didn't like so much was the community was very niche to a certain streamer at the time. So they kind of grabbed onto whoever was sort of being successful. And if that person was no longer successful, they just kind of like went somewhere else. Like, there was no, like, people weren't diehard for anyone.
Yeah.
Because I got burnt out streaming because I was doing it so often, and I took a break. And then when I started streaming, like, no one came back. Like, not one person really paid any attention. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go back to Twitch. And when I went back to Twitch was about the time they started doing affiliate.
Oh, sure.
I went to Twitch, got affiliate, and that's been it since.
Very nice, very nice. When you said Beam at first, I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And I was like, oh, okay, Mixer. Got it. Now we're on the same spot.
Yeah.
What So that was, and yeah, let's think about this for how long ago that was, because I mean, really, 2015 was a long time ago, and that's about when
Yeah.
I started streaming too. Just how much the landscape has changed. And I was actually talking about this with one of my other friends this weekend about how the acquisition of Amazon to Twitch or with Twitch really did kind of change the complete landscape of everything,
Yeah.
specifically on Twitch, because you're seeing people now. At least at that point in time, there was, if you had like 5,000 viewers or something like that at that point in time, you were like the top of Twitch. And now you
Oh
see
yeah.
people who, I mean, who's probably has the most right now, like Asmongold has, or some XQC. I don't even know who's at the top right now, but there's somebody at the top like that. Probably 80,000 people, 80,000 viewers right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think the landscape has changed, and a lot of people would say that it hasn't really changed for the better. But I mean, this is one of those things where it's kind of inevitable, right? You have to look at it from as a business. You have somewhat you have operational costs. You have to be able to manage things, and Amazon
Right.
comes in and offers you hundreds of millions of dollars and says, "Hey, we just all we want to do is give you the money, and we'll be your like your umbrella." And Twitch says, "Okay," and obviously, and here comes ads, and then here come bits and all that kind of stuff. Because Twitch has to make money at the same time, and I guess I just kind of look at that as the inevitable growth of any business. You're eventually going to have to
Right.
sell out to some piece in order for yourself, in order to survive. I mean, there's no, and honestly, it's probably a good thing with everything going on right now that Amazon has Twitch, because if they didn't, this whole COVID thing and all that kind of stuff, Twitch probably wouldn't be around anymore.
I think it would still be around, but I don't know if it would be as prominent as people are making it out to be, or as prominent as it actually is, I should say. So I mean, like for example, and you mentioned Tim the Tatman earlier. He's currently one of my favorite streamers and has been for quite a while. But he's like he works in cooperation with like the NFL when they're around, and watches the games with his chat on Thursdays when those games are playing. So I mean,
Hmm.
that's just like one more part that has come with it, and we wouldn't be seeing that if it wasn't for that. Like I said, I don't know if that would actually be like the death of it, like if he couldn't do something like that, but I definitely don't think that there would be that many people who would be even considering moving to Twitch, or considering even watching the game on Twitch or anything like that,
Well,
if it wasn't there.
you have to look at it from the perspective of sure that he watches the games in NFL, which NFL is probably paying Twitch a ton of money to be able to do that, to broadcast their games on there. I don't think
Probably.
Twitch is paying them. It's probably NFL saying, "Hey, this is another avenue for us to get our sport out there and get in front of people." I don't think anyone's playing too many NFL games right now. I mean, it goes with even advertising. If someone's like, "Hey, can we advertise XYZ on your platform?" That's how they make money. But all these businesses who are not able to afford advertising anymore. I mean, you have lots of retail companies going out of business these days. Um, you can't there be if they didn't have the umbrella, Twitch probably wouldn't be able to survive. I think because even before Twitch, they didn't have ads, which means they would have had no other income besides taking away from subscribers for people.
Right.
And then they didn't have bits at the time either. If you just think of Twitch being the same thing as it was before. But if you're still taking 50% of everyone's subscriptions, people who are losing their jobs and they can't afford to subscribe anymore, and they're keep in mind no Twitch Prime either.
Right.
They people wouldn't be spending as much money on Twitch, and Twitch would probably not do so well if it didn't have Amazon as their financial blanket.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. It's a good way that you explain that. A good way that you rounded that out. And speaking of gifted subs, shout out to Colby Walker in the
Yeah.
chat. See Walker giving out a gift out sub to Radio Optimism. You've been officially christened into the channel
I'm
now.
indoctrinated now.
Yeah,
Oh,
now
man.
you're officially here.
Help.
Sit down. You can't leave now. If anything, I think Twitch is more exciting as a viewer with the addition of paid subs and bits. It is. I agree with that. There are a lot of people who have channels that are specifically around paid subs and stuff like that. Like a lot of people will do a wheel. If you gift out so many subs, they'll do a wheel. Mine's been shut down for a few months, but I do that myself actually. So that just adds to more excitement to watch it as a viewer, as well as interacting with people. But
Yeah,
it's just,
and there's other things at Twitch too. Like a guy worked for a guy who just thought that YouTube and Twitch and all content creation was just so stupid, and It was just one of those things where it's like, why would anyone pay to have that kind of thing? It doesn't make any sense why you just give some random person their money. And I had to explain to him, like, what's your favorite TV show? And he named off a TV show. I'm like, is that, do you enjoy the actors in that show? He said, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, would you pay to watch that show? Yeah, sure, I'd pay to watch that show. Okay, would you pay additional money to also watch that show because of the producer and the director and the editor and the lighter and the artist and the advertising marketing and the PR and the people who make the food for all the actors and everything like that? It's like, well, it's like, no, because you have to keep in mind, streaming is one person doing everything. We are the cameraman. We are the graphic designer and artist. We are the person who writes the scripts. We are the person who develops the content. We are the person who's all the technical behind it and the audio and the video. Like the streamer does everything. And he's like, huh, didn't think of it that way. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And people don't give a lot of content creators enough credit on that respect, that there's some people who out there, they do it all themselves, every single bit of it. And other people, they do 90% of it themselves and have that other 10% outsourced to artists or, people who can do X, Y, or Z. But still, you're essentially performing a whole show or movie for someone every day, night, or week, or month, or whatever, at the cost of nothing. Like we absorb the cost ourselves.
Right. And it's not wrong, because it really, and I had the same thought process the other day. Like, technically I put, like, in all my socials, which, by the way, you can follow me at TaterBoy09 and all the socials. I put in my bio podcast host after my second show. And I was thinking about it. I was like, is that a little pretentious? And I thought, I was like, well, not really, because it's already happened. So, I mean, on top of, but now I'm thinking about it too. I'm like, well, technically, like, podcast producer could be thrown out there. That's a little pretentious, but you get what I'm trying to say. Like,
no, I don't think that's pretentious at all. I think it's accurate. I mean, you still have to put together a podcast, edit it, upload it, manage it, and all that kind of stuff. It's still all your responsibility that you're taking on for yourself.
Right. Out of my own free time. And yep, you're absolutely right. And I appreciate your free time, by the way, spending an hour with me. So you can,
no problem.
I put it all out there.
I have no qualms with this whatsoever. I'm glad to do 1, 2, 3 hours. Doesn't matter to me.
But not 15.
Yeah, not 15. 15.
Got it.
I do got to work tomorrow, but
hey, we don't need jobs. Or wait, do we? I can't remember.
Well, I mean, I do, but I don't know you.
Yeah, I don't
know. No one's gonna pay me for looking good. I think maybe Warwick. I don't know.
Yeah, I bet Warwick would. Yeah, C. Walker does, but Speaking of, thanks for another gifted sub out there to Jim Needs Caffeine. Enjoy those subs, buddy. Or enjoy those emotes. Appreciate you. Podcast scheduler, podcast interviewer, podcast makeup department. Yeah, it's actually it's actually surprising. I've never actually cared about how I looked when I'm actually, like, on camera or anything like that. If I'm streaming, I don't even give a shit. One of the first times I actually got super, like, rated by a big stream, well, a quote unquote big streamer. It was one of my first times streaming, and I had like 25 viewers at the time. It was a big deal for me. I hadn't even showered that day. I was just like, I don't even care.
Yeah.
But now, like, before the podcast, I spend way too much time trying to look decent.
I guess I'm getting old and crotchety, and I just don't care now.
Yeah.
I would have a couple years ago, but now I'm just like, I'm just gonna play video games. I'm tired.
Yeah, I've never really cared about, like, how I look or anything like that. But this is the only time. So, hey, you're getting the best version of Tater right now. So be happy about that.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Screen clip.
Save that one for later.
That into the secret My Documents folder.
Put it all in the old tax returns folder.
Yeah. A special bank.
Why is that folder locked? Don't worry about it.
Who is this man smiling? No one. They're at the bottom of me, and I'm cleaning my room.
Oh, what a great movie. That is a movie that has just lost a lot of its timelessness or something like that.
Yeah, it did not age well.
It did not quite age well. And that's a scary movie for anybody who's not keeping
Children
track.
at the bottom of me, and I'm cleaning my room.
Oh, what a good movie. Great stuff. That was when you could make fun of movies that currently happen and it actually be mainstream.
Yeah, when the people thought political correctness was funny.
Right. Political incorrectness was
Yeah,
funny.
yeah, that. But anyways,
Ugh,
more about streaming stuff. I know that you wanted to talk about this, and so I'm going to bring it up.
go ahead.
Is the technical pieces of streaming that just they grind me to my core, that people just don't quite understand, and like whenever I'm in like a big streamers chat, like, oh, I'll just lower my bit rate to or something because maybe that'll help the quality. Like it drives me nuts, dude. Oh my god.
That's always
Because
tech support 101, isn't it? It's like, did you
yeah, like,
try lowering or increasing your bit rate?
but I want to. You're gonna hear here first. I'm squashing the rumors about what bit rate does and how it affects people's download speed or whatever like that. So
All right,
first
listen
and
up,
foremost,
chat. Listen.
yeah, everyone be quiet, but also say that you're listening at the same time. But don't say it, but be quiet. But also make sure you say it. So the way that it works is your bit rate is how you upload your stream to Twitch's servers, right? And the way that works is your bit rate is sort of like having like a parking lot. And the lower the bit rate, the bigger the parking spaces are. So, but still only one car can park in those parking spaces. But you increase that bit rate higher and higher and higher, then you can fit more cars in your parking lot, right? Well, that doesn't matter to me, who the viewer of your stream. What matters is the fact that whether or not I have enough of an exit point, or whenever I'm viewing your stream, if all those cars can get out of that parking lot in a timely manner. So think of it that way at first. So I have to download your stream from Twitch's servers. And the higher the bit rate, the better quality it is, which means the bigger the stream is, which means the more bandwidth you're going to need. But if you have transcoding, that doesn't matter. So it's literally the end of the argument. I mean, your bit rate essentially says, okay, this parking lot's big enough that I can fit enough cars, or this highway is big enough that I can fit enough cars in there. And it doesn't matter how fast you upload it; it just means it's going to be a better quality stream. And then when it gets to Twitch, and I'm viewing it, if I'm viewing it at the same rate, then I have to have more bandwidth on my own personal internet in order to view the stream that you uploaded to Twitch's servers at the rate that you uploaded it at.
I got you. Okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah. Sorry, that was kind of a long walk for a drink of water there.
Yeah,
But
I was keeping up. Warwick screwed me up in chat because he said, "Can I get a parking ticket with this?
Yeah, don't listen to anything.
Is there a fee?" He asks.
He moved to Texas, so his opinion's invalid now.
True, little W.
But okay, let me approach from a different angle.
Sure.
It's so let's just say you want to download a background image, all right, but you have a 4K monitor and you want a 4K picture. Usually that picture is going to be pretty big, right? And you want that to be 4K resolution. Let's just say it's a JPEG of like 4 gigs or whatever. It's going to take a long time to download that if your internet sucks. But if you download that same picture at 1080p, it's going to be a fraction of that. Let's say it's going to be 1 gig now, which means even if you have crappy internet, it's going to download faster than that 4K picture.
Right.
But it's all based off of what picture you're downloading, not what picture someone uploaded to it.
Right. I get what you're picking up here now. I got you. So let's bring it around then. So if someone was having issues, would it just be like, sorry kid, you got bad internet, like you as the viewer, or as them as the streamer?
So it's not the streamer's fault. So the streamer uploads this bit rate to Twitch, and essentially they're just uploading a file to Twitch. They're uploading their stream. Let's just say the entirety of their stream, that one little package, up to Twitch, and Twitch takes it and allows you to download it from their servers. It's not like you're downloading that stream directly from the streamer. You're downloading it from Twitch. That's how you're viewing it. And in order for you to download that stream at whatever quality you want, you have to have the bandwidth on your own personal internet to support it. Which is why, partners have transcoding options. You can go down to 720p at 60 frames, one at 30 frames, then down to 480p, etc. Like that's, you essentially have to download the stream at what your internet will support. It's not because if you lowering your bit rate, all it does is make your stream look shittier, and it doesn't really actually it doesn't benefit anyone else anymore.
Got it. So basically, if I'm watching your stream and things are not looking as good It's just because I need to go reset my internet.
Yeah, or just buy more bandwidth.
Just buy more.
Install, just download it. Download more bandwidth.
Just get Spectrum Business, right?
Yeah, exactly. Even
That's
though
right.
that still sucks.
What
And
do
the
what do you
Warwick,
what do you get for that then? Like up and down?
I mean, I get I think 30 up and 750 down,
Okay, that's not bad.
but it's just standard cable. It's not like it's just copper.
Yeah.
It's not fiber or anything. But to what Warwick said,
Hmm.
lowering your bitrate does not do that. So it's the same concept. It's based off of your connection to your mobile network. If you can't download a stream at a particular resolution, you just got to lower the resolution of the stream and the transcoding options. If you have that option, if you don't, you're sort of SOL. Me lowering my bitrate, all it does is lower the quality of my stream for everybody. Now, sure, does it make it smaller? Yeah, but it's you still have to be able to support downloading that whatever quality stream it is.
Are you a conspiracy theorist guy?
I like to hear them, but I don't believe them most of the time.
Okay, I was just the whole like, hey, if you're downloading a file to Twitch, Twitch has my VOD forever and my download forever. So it's a little monka in my opinion, but
I mean, I think that they probably store your VODs. I mean, more than likely.
probably.
I mean, I'm sure they have backups of any of the VODs and stuff like that have ever existed, and they probably only go back to like probably 10 years or something like that.
It's a lot of information to have on just file, so it makes sense. Because it's not just me; it's everybody that's streamed ever in the last, day is probably more than. I mean, I don't know like an exact number, but there's probably a bunch of just files, just terabytes, and maybe what's even beyond that. I don't even know.
Yeah,
Zettabyte,
a petabyte or something like that. I don't remember.
Got it.
I think so. I don't remember where it goes above that. But I mean, that's they have to. A lot of companies like that have that kind of content have to have a statute of limitations on how long they have to keep data. Whether it's a medical provider or you're providing certain, I don't know. Let's just say you're a manufacturer of body armor or whatever like that people buy. Even on Twitch, you have to have that kind of video that's broadcasted. You have to keep it for X amount of time before you can get rid of it because of legal things. Like someone's like, all right, that we just found out there's a crime committed 7 years ago and that person's streaming on Twitch. We need that evidence. We need to have that stuff. And so they have to ask Twitch to go back 7 years, make sure they have it, et cetera, and get the information. So I don't know what it is on Twitch, but I know that a lot of the majority of companies have some sort of statute on it.
Yeah, there's got to be something. I mean, it wouldn't make sense to just have that and then just like instantly delete it. It wouldn't make sense. Even if they were just keeping some things for like their records or something like that,
Yeah.
Just happens. I posted this Monka S to radio chat once. Imagine if one day the internet went down for about 10 minutes, then it came back, but everything was deleted.
So that would probably be the literal end of the world.
Probably. It's like
everything is so ingrained.
Yeah.
Like everything is so ingrained. Like you're talking banking, financial systems,
right?
Health systems. Like I can speak personally to that. Like people being able to access their medical records of patients, if you're a doctor or a nurse, being able to access things that measure out certain dosages for stuff. Debts. Yeah, I mean, debts is another thing. Like if debts are wiped out, then banks lose money and then they go under because they have no way to monitor or track debts.
Yeah. I was just thinking the end of Fight Club scene when they finally break everything down and the Pixies are playing and everything's going to be a happy ending, but who knows what happens next.
And the full collapse of utility systems that run on technology on the network.
Yeah.
It would be pretty significant.
Hey, but we wouldn't have to go to work for a few days, so that's a positive.
Or ever.
Or maybe ever again. Or maybe your work would be rebuilding the system, though.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, that might be true. I mean, because depending on how long you'd be just remaking years and years and potentially decades of infrastructure.
Yeah, if everything was deleted like that, I can't even think of the scale of that. I can't even imagine that in my head of how much that time that would take. That'd set us back probably about 30 years, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty unfathomable. Not as bad as a pandemic, though. That only sets us back about 2 or 3 years.
No, well, it's crazy because I work at a medical provider, or hospital that's local here, and like I have my father who just thinks that it's completely fake, and he's the exact kind of person you think he is.
Okay.
And it sucks because it's really hard to hear that from him. And like so one of the things that I was talking to my chat about the other day was we had to go through and we installed all these systems in their patient rooms where nurses can interact with patients and get like vitals and stuff like that from them through iPads and through webcams and everything. So that way we don't have to waste as much PPE going in and out. Because every time you go into a COVID positive room and come out, all of that gear you have on has to be trashed immediately, has to
Right.
be cleaned. And it's just a huge waste, and you just can't afford to do that just to go in there and check vitals. Um, and I was there one day, and there was this family that was talking to someone who was basically about to die, and I'm pretty sure they ended up dying. About how like they can't go in there, they can't say bye, they can't see their loved ones on either side, neither the person who is sick or the people who are not, because if they spread it, makes it worse, and they don't
Yeah.
want to get their loved ones sick, and it is the hardest thing in the world to just even fathom saying like my wife couldn't, if she were sick, she couldn't come in and hug me and kiss me and just say I love you and I I'm sorry this is happening to you and et cetera, et cetera. Like imagine just having to be alone on your deathbed.
Right.
That is the hardest thing I could possibly imagine. I had to see it, and to say that something like that's fake, it just boils my blood.
Right. It's the 1.2% of people that are passing away from this, but that 1.2% is still hundreds
Yeah,
of thousands of people.
there's still people.
Right.
We do, we do the
There's a local radio station actually that is actually the same radio station I was talking about earlier that plays rock music and great music. There's a pair of dudes in the morning who do a talk show, and his one of the main guys is his father actually just recently passed away. I mean, he was older; he was probably like 80 or something like that, but he'd been on the show a bunch of times. Funny dude, you know, he was always just wanting to have a good time, at least from what we knew of him as a regular listener, basically. And yeah, he passed away due to that too. And it was kind of the same situation where they couldn't say goodbye or anything like that. And I mean, obviously, I follow them on all the socials and stuff like that too. So it's tough to see kind of how they cope with it, or like how he copes with it. One of the guys. But yeah, he always just points out the fact that hey, it's only 1.2%, or like a 90. I mean, I think they probably say it as like a 98 point whatever survival rate just to make it sound bigger, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, still there's still that 1 to 2% where hey, that's still a lot of people that are passing away from this. So
Yeah. I mean, how many people live in the United States? I mean, you can say however many million,
yeah,
and 1% of that is still people dying unnecessarily.
right. It's like
It,
is it like 350 million? I think is in the
yeah,
U.S. And then so like 1% of that would be 350,000. Am I
yeah.
doing math right?
Well,
Or is
35,000, I think.
no? Either way, that's still a lot,
Something like that. Yeah, that's way more than it should be for something like this.
right?
That was and is completely controllable.
Yeah,
But it was just hard to see something like that because it hits home in such a morbid manner
right.
that it just makes me want to tell people, please take it seriously and understand the ramifications of all the things that are happening, because you don't I don't think a lot of people like to play like they're much braver and stronger than they are until they know they are going to die, and the first thing they're going to want is their family, their loved ones by their side,
Yeah,
and you're not going to get that. You're not
yeah,
going to have it, and that is the worst thing I could think of. That's
yeah.
worse than the suffering of being sick, if you ask me.
That's right. It's tough situation. Tough situation. Are you a doctor? Am I with a doctor right now?
Who, me?
Yeah, you. You said you work at a
Oh.
hospital.
No, I'm an engineer.
Oh, okay,
Network.
okay.
IT.
Gotcha. Are you working from home then, or do you still have to go into the?
I still go in.
Oh, gotcha.
So we still take all the proper precautions, but um, we are pretty separate from the patients. We're a big IT team altogether, but the network team is, I'll say, probably about 7 or 8 people altogether. But we're on site because we support all the hospitals that exist under our name, so we have to travel back and forth if something's happening. But we're usually several degrees of separation between us and the patients.
There you go. That's good. Not like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
No, they left a sandwich in a restaurant local to me.
That is like the fourth time I've talked about that fucking website on this podcast. I've never even gone to it once, but I guess I'll have to now. I guess I'll have to.
there's a restaurant called Melt here over here, which specializes in grilled cheese, and
Okay.
they have a giant grilled cheese sandwich called 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon with 6 different types of cheeses and bacon in between each one.
Yeah.
Oh boy, it's it's a heart attack waiting to happen, but it's the last and best one you'll ever have.
I was gonna say that sounds like a good like last meal. You know what? You're
Yeah.
sitting on the bed in the
You know
hospital.
what?
Like,
I
hey,
feel like that today, but
bring me
not.
one.
Yeah. Just bring me a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. That's just all I want. Last meal. Done.
You think DoorDash would deliver that, or you think
Yeah.
make a few stops
You know
before
what?
it gets
I
there?
bet if you said, "Hey, I'm on my deathbed with COVID. Can I have a sandwich?" They'd probably be like, "You know what? We'll give it to you for free."
Sure, who cares? Let's send it out. Send it on out. All right. Well, we're sitting at about an hour 10 here. Let's start to wrap this bad boy up. So,
Sure.
any final thoughts? Any final anything you want to say? Talk about real quick before we get her closed out.
Yeah. One of the things that I don't really talk about much on my own stream, which twitch.tv/radiooptimism, twitch.tv/radiooptimism.
He's live right now. Can we get a shout out
Yeah.
from the mods, please?
One of the things I do, you mentioned it earlier, is I was a professor. So I'm at my alma mater where I graduated from. I teach as an adjunct voluntary professor. I don't get paid for it or anything like that. And I started streaming as a way to take the stuff that I was teaching my students and put it on Twitch and provide another avenue for people to learn. And if you have any interest in networking or I do specifically Cisco networking or just, you want to learn the fundamentals of IT in some way, shape, or form as far as networking goes. I actually do lessons on Twitch based on request. I'll create a lesson plan around something that you interested in, whether it's, hey, what are just the basics of networking, or I want to know how to do subnetting, et cetera, et cetera. I used to do this all the time and create labs. I have software, I have docs, all that kind of stuff. It all goes to support my community. No subs required. All you have to do is ask, and we'll schedule it and do lessons for you.
Only 500 bits. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, that's fine. But I'm one of those people who are really against paying for education. Like I think education should be free, and I try to give as much of my knowledge to people as I can if they're willing to consume it.
You're such a liberal. I'm finding all this out. No, man. I'm just kidding.
The thing is, I'm a middle of the road guy. But
Both sides are bad. Yeah.
I just one of the people who I enjoy helping and I enjoy giving,
Yeah.
Giving back to people, whether they're not I've received anything from them. I like knowing that I have a skill set that other people may not have, and I can pass it on to them. I think that if you're an expert or even just someone who is skilled in a particular industry, it's your responsibility to give back and help people who aren't. Doctors help treat patients, and smart people don't try to treat patients if they're not a doctor. Just like me, I'm networking, and someone were to come and say, hey, my router or my internet's doing XYZ, how do I get around that? And I'm usually the person that you can go to.
That's right. Whiskey the Cat, education should be free, speedruns for charity. Probably 3 great things that describe radio optimism itself.
Sure, I guess so, yeah.
And I completely forgot to bring up that not only were you a professor, but that's one of the things that you were doing on Twitch too. Basically homeschooling before it was homeschooling, right?
Yeah. And one of the things, so I was certified by Cisco, which is, if you don't know who Cisco is, big networking company. They're the ones who make a lot of like routers and modems and all that kind of stuff.
Not the food Cisco, right?
Yes, it's CISCO. not the SYS or whatever it is. I don't know. Not the thong song guy either.
Right.
But it's one of the things I like to pride myself on, because like Warwick said, when I was on Sliver, I really went out of my way to try to make people feel comfortable learning it. And I try to have an avenue to teach anyone, even people who have no knowledge of it whatsoever. They're like, I'm interested and I want to learn. As long as you have that passion, desire, I could teach you. And I get a thrill out of it. If I could do 24/7 teaching and make a living off of it, I would. Absolutely. It's just not a feasible option these days. And I really would love to do that on Twitch, but also hard feasible option to do because it's such a niche thing.
Right. It's really creative too. Not only want to do it, but then also having the knowledge to do it in the first place. It's very creative, I should say.
Well, thank you. I mean, I try to. It's just I think it's one of those things where when you're just passionate about something, it all kind of comes together. And teaching and socializing with people in that manner, and just helping someone learn has
Yeah.
always just been like a passion of mine. I did my district who is in my chat right now knows because he's been around my stream since the beginning, and he knows that that's like one of the things I love doing is doing teaching streams. And when someone asks, hey, can we talk about this, like I usually just drop everything and start talking about it, like and without even like thinking about it. Someone's
Nice.
like, hey, can you explain what this does? I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. Start pulling up all my tabs and browsers and desktop capture now, and this is what this does. Start drawing it and everything. It's weird how that kind of comes together. Everyone has that one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to come up with a list of technology questions for you, and then next time you're on, next time you're on stream, and I'll just start letting them roll.
Yeah, hey, you throw them at me. Yeah, anytime you want me to come on, man, I'm totally down. This is a
So
lot of fun.
it has been a lot of fun. And anytime that we start discussing parking lots and cars, that's how you know things are getting legit.
Yeah, I'll try to
That's
come up
right.
with a better analogy next time. I got into the heat of the moment, and then I lost track what I was trying to explain.
It still made sense. And then, talking about the highways and stuff like that, it was all there. It was all in
Should
the
have went
same
with highways,
cushion.
but I thought parking lot because it's all about how many pixels you can fit into one space.
Right,
You
right.
know, and the cars were the pixels, and the space is the parking lot. Sort of how I kind of envisioned it, but it didn't really. I'm stupid, all right? I get it. All right, fine.
This is from a movie. It's like, you are the smartest dumb person I've ever met in my life.
Yes. Usually I'm good at explaining things, but when Warwick's in check, I get all hot and bothered, and then I don't know what to say anymore.
Talk about relatable. Talk about relatable. All right, where can people find you at minus the Twitch? We already got
Yeah.
you shouted out there.
Twitch. Yep, on Twitch. Twitter, I'm just at Radiooptimism. I'm on YouTube at Radiooptimism. If you Google Radiooptimism, all one word, you will find me. Whether it's on Instagram, on player.me, on Twitch, on once upon a time Mixer, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. You can find me anywhere. I'm on Discord, which if you're on my Twitch, you can join Discord from there, where we find all sorts of stuff. If you're a subscriber in my stream, I actually you get access to animated artwork that I created myself. So whether it's alerts or screen transitions, borders, and overlays, that's available to anyone who is a streamer and a sub. And also where you can request lessons if you want them. Thumbs up.
Well, there it is. What's Mixer, Keck W?
Lol.
That's enough of that chat. Come on now, don't be mean.
Well, I would say that who knows what it is, but I think if it were a thing, only 8 people would have known before, anyways. But I don't know.
Right. Oh goodness. All right, buddy. I'm gonna mute you here in Zencaster, but once again, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate you.
Definitely, man.
Definitely. Once we like I had mentioned before, this is gonna be the last podcast for 2 weeks. So we'll come back on what is that? The 20. Oh, that might be 3 weeks actually. Hang on. Where's my calendar? Nope. 25th is when we'll be back on. So make sure you're there. The podcast gets put on all social media all podcast platforms. Excuse me. Spotify, whatever, Google, Apple, Stitcher, anywhere. It also gets uploaded to YouTube. It'll be there tomorrow. If you type !YT in my chat, my YouTube link will be there. I just put out a highlight video for season 4 for Modern Warfare, Warzones. I put a lot of effort into that video, so I'd really appreciate if you guys went and watched that. Do please also sub to my YouTube channel. We're really trying to get to 100 subs on that so we can get the name, just youtube.com/taterboy09. So
You guys better do it.
yeah, please, I'm begging. No,
You better do it or I'll be disappointed.
it is free to do. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, once again, you can also find me on Twitter, Insta at Taterboy09, and also here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taterboy09. And then if you're on Facebook, you can also follow it at Tater Talks the podcast on Facebook. If any of you dinosaurs use that, I still do. I fucking hate it, but I do use it.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
That's right. You gotta find social media somewhere. All right. Once again, Radio, thank you for being on the show. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yep. Everybody from my chat as well as Radio's chat, I hope you have a good night. Just a reminder, signing off. This is Taterboy09 signing off, reminding you that a minute spent in this chat, and probably Radio's chat too, is a wasted minute. So let's make it a damn good time. And I hope you had a damn good time today. Thank you very much. I hope you all have a great night.